Hey, it's day 2 of our 10 days of prayer and faith, and our text this morning is a famous one out of Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. So I want to start by reading that. It says, "Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will." In this text, the first thing that Paul charges us to do is to offer ourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. That this is our act of worship. And it kind of rings of Jesus' language in Matthew 16 and also in Luke chapter 9. To take up our cross and follow after him. This acknowledgement that our life is not our own, that it is his, and that we have a purpose that's greater than just ourselves. And then he goes on to challenge us, don't be conformed to the pattern of this world. And I think we all know the temptations that are out there for us to be conformed, and all the different voices coming at us from so many different angles that are trying to conform us and shape us into the pattern of the world. And Paul says, instead, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And one of the most powerful things about prayer is that in prayer, we're constantly orienting and reorienting ourselves around the ultimate truth of who God is and the purpose that he created us for. And over time, our mind is renewed. We are shaped and formed then into the people who do the things that God's called and created us to do. As he mentioned at the end of this text, that you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is as we are shaped and formed into men and women of godly character. Then we begin to do what it is that God's placed in front of us to do. And prayer is such a key part of that. And so there's a couple of things that we can do in prayer in response to this text. The first is to, as the text said, is just to present ourselves as living sacrifices, holy and acceptable to God, to acknowledge that we are his. And second, that we would just, for some strength to resist these temptations, to conform to the pattern of the world, but rather we would be transformed by the truth of who God is and what he's called us to do. And that this wouldn't just be true of ourselves, but also this would be true of Hope City Church. That we would continually be transformed into the body that God's created us to be so that we can fulfill the purpose that he's created us for. Have a wonderful day. Bless.